Aloha friends! It's been a minute. So before we get to the word, if you can please like this video, subscribe to my channel so we can share the word. That would be awesome. And let's get to the word. So something that the Lord, this honestly is a lifetime word for me. But the Lord has really been speaking to me about the small things of how to shift my perspective, change my perspective. And the word is performance. So we'll just read the definition, good old Webster's 1828. It says, the execution or completion of anything, a doing as the performance of work or of an undertaking, the performance of duty. So performance, the word in and of itself, not negative, right? It's when it gets skewed, it's when our relationship with God becomes performance oriented or has a performance perspective, is when things go wrong. It has to do with the mindset that we earn God's love or we earn God's grace, or there's two sides of it, of pushing forward, pursuing, trying to check off everything we need to do in order to earn God's love and God's grace, which we cannot do. And then there's the other side of performance, which is thinking that, okay, we're not going to live up to standards anyway, so why do anything? And it's all self-focused. And as a Christian, we need to be Christ-focused. And so, again, for me, this is a lifelong word. He's still changing things in my life so that my perspective, my heart intentions, my heart posture is oriented in such a way that it's purely about the relationship with Jesus, about being with Jesus, because that's all he's want. God cannot love you any more or any less than he does right now. God cannot love you any more or any less than when you were a sinner. He sent Jesus to die for us while we were still sinners. So anyway, getting back to performance. Again, it's about the skew of it. And this honestly is the trap that the Pharisees fell into, because the law of the Old Testament, not bad in and of itself. But the Pharisees and the religious leaders of Jesus' time had skewed it so much and had twisted it so much that it became we talk about the spirit of religion, right? And we don't want to have a religious spirit, because then it becomes the checklist. It becomes all about performance and what we can do on our own strength. So going to Matthew 15, and it's the passages from verses 1 to 14, but I'm not going to read all of them. So starting in verse 1, it says, then the scribes and the Pharisees who were from Jerusalem came to Jesus saying, why do your disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat bread. Jesus answered and said to them, why do you also transgress the commandment of God because of your tradition? So Jesus throws it back to them like, okay, you guys are trying to catch the disciples in this, lack of tradition. And yet your tradition is skewing the perspective you should have, which is being in a relationship with Jesus instead of checking all these things off your list. And so he goes on, and Jesus talks about when it says in Isaiah, these people draw near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, with their words, with their actions, with the checklist, and in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. So we need to make sure that our heart posture is in the right place. And Jesus is such a boss. Like he's so awesome. He just drops knowledge like it's nothing. And so in verse 13, drop down to 13, it says, Jesus answered and said to them, every plant which my heavenly Father has not planted will be uprooted. Let them alone, the religious leaders. They are blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind leads the blind, both will fall into a ditch. So let's not fall into the trap of the twistings of the devil or of that religious spirit. Let's ask God, like David did, search our hearts, O Lord, and make sure that our intentions are purely of you and of being in relationship with you. Love you with the Jesus love.